We asked him to step down. He didn't win the elections. The winner is Alassane Ouattara.
The last time these women came to the streets to protest, 6 of them were killed by pro-Gbagbo forces. They say nothing will cow them and that they will continue protesting until Gbagbo steps down. The protests are also in memory of the dead women. Friends and family members fill the ranks of the demonstrators. At the spot where the women fell, some mourn, others simply pray for them. Toure Matene lost her sister in the shootings.
I feel motivated by the support of the women. I decided to join them after my sister was killed. I am with Ouattara forever.
And as the women protest, youths blockade the main road linking Abobo to the rest of the city. They search every vehicle to ensure none of Gbagbo's forces get through.
If Gbagbo's men come, they will have to kill us first before they kill our mothers.
A few meters away from the roadblocks, UN peacekeepers hold guard. They say they're here to ensure that pro-Gbagbo supporters do not go into the neighborhood to clash with their opponents. In this deeply divided nation, anything and everything is possible. Mohamed Ado, AlJazeera, Abidjan.
Well, nearly 500,000 people have been uprooted by the political violence in Côte d'Ivoire. That's according to the International Organization for Migration. Antonio Guterres is the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Speaking to me a little earlier, he described the extent of the problem.
We have already 70,000 people in Liberia, and again Liberia has been extremely generous hosting them, but this, as you can imagine, represents a huge burden for a country that is in itself in a process of transition and peace building. The indications we have from Côte d'Ivoire are that more and more people are displaced. In the last few days, 300,000 people displaced inside the country, and that the level of suffering that these populations are enduring is absolutely appalling. Unfortunately, because obviously the Libyan crisis has occupied the center of the attentions of the international community, there has been not enough effort and not enough commitment to support the Ivorian people in this very tragic situation. And I also appeal this crisis not to be forgotten and the international solidarity to be expressed to the Ivorian people in this absolutely terrible moment.
Police in Pakistan have arrested a man over a bomb blast that's killed at least 25 people. The explosion happened in the eastern city of Faisalabad in a neighbourhood full of government buildings. More than 150 people were injured. Officials say the man arrested may also have links to a 2009 attack on the Sri Lankan cricket team. A cash for work programme paid for by the US has been set up in Afghanistan. It's proving popular, but there are concerns over exactly who is benefiting. AlJazeera's Sue Turton has this exclusive report from Kandahar province.
Buying their way into the Taliban heartland, a US programme in the district of Jirai in Kandahar that pays local people to work. Clearing canals or fixing up bombed buildings can earn them $40 a week. It's proved hugely popular. Over 1,500 workers turned up last week from all walks of life.
We're not naive enough to think that there are no Taliban working for us. In an area where the Taliban was born and really came to power, frankly, of 1,400 people, there are going to be some that are Taliban. And that's okay, because as long as they're here to help us rebuild and they're not causing problems, planting IEDs, shooting at us, then we're okay with that.
But even with some Taliban working amongst them, joining this American project is a risky business. This airstrike had to be called in after the Taliban attacked one cash for work site, injuring an ISAF soldier who was guarding the workers. They've warned others to stay away.
We're scared. There's no difference between you and me for the Taliban. They would slit our throats because we're working for the Americans.
The Taliban told my father he shouldn't work here.
As the foreman handed out the weekly wages, we saw some of the money being handed to men in a parked car. We're told at least half of it goes to the Taliban. One senior Afghan officer at the base said he now thinks the project is doing more harm than good. It's not the only outreach project they have. A makeshift clinic hands out medicines, and it's soon to be replaced with something more substantial.
3 months ago, the decision was made to leave a more solid legacy behind. These 4 buildings will house a school, a clinic, an agricultural training centre and a shura, a meeting room. The hope is that these bricks and mortar will stand firm against the Taliban in the fighting season and act as a reminder that the US forces provided them with something the Taliban didn't.
Word of the Cash for Work programme reached a neighbouring district. Elders turned up at the US outpost to ask the Americans to set one up locally. It's a good sign if the money goes to them and not to bolster the Taliban's funds. Sue Turton, Al Jazeera, Kandahar.
Greeks have been warned to venture outside only if it's absolutely necessary after severe snowstorms caused transport chaos. Parts of the capital, Athens, were virtually impassable, with one traffic jam stretching up to 15 kilometres. This is Al Jazeera. These are the stories making the headlines. There are reports that Gaddafi's tanks and warplanes are hitting several towns in Libya. Rebels say that they're having to deal with aerial bombardment and have sustained serious injuries. A doctor in Ras Lanouf has told Al Jazeera they're severely under-resourced and might have to stop treating people if the victims keep pouring in. The head of Libya's opposition National Council says the Libyan leader must stop the bombing and leave the country within 72 hours. However, a different spokesman for the council has denied any negotiations were taking place.
Our demands are as clear as the revolution. We are not negotiating at all. We have appealed to the United Nations to impose a no-fly zone in Libya to protect our families and to prevent any aircraft attacks like the ones you are hearing about.
US President Barack Obama and the British Prime Minister David Cameron are pressing Colonel Gaddafi to leave. The White House says both leaders spoke on the phone and agreed to a common objective on the crisis. And a reminder of our breaking news this hour. Security forces in Yemen have opened fire on protesters camping outside Sana'a University. At least 25 protesters have been injured, 5 of them critically. Security forces were trying to disperse the crowds who were calling for the president to leave office. Clashes have broken out between Muslims and Coptic Christians in the Egyptian capital. The country's Coptic minority has been protesting against discrimination by Egypt's Muslim majority. And in Cairo's Tahrir Square, hundreds of Egyptian women held a rally calling for equal rights and an end to sexual harassment. In Côte d'Ivoire, hundreds of people have been protesting against the killing of 7 women last week. The women were shot by soldiers whilst demonstrating against disputed President Laurent Gbagbo. Police in Pakistan have arrested a man over a bomb blast that's killed at least 25 people. The explosion happened in the eastern city of Faisalabad, in a neighbourhood full of government buildings. More than 150 people were injured. Officials say the man arrested may also have links to a 2009 attack on the Sri Lankan cricket team. Plenty more stories for you on our website. The address for that is aljazeera.net/English. And of course, the main stories there about Libya and analysis too. That's the news for now. We'll have more news at the top of the hour next. Frost over the world.